Success could be defined as getting up one more time after you've been knocked down over and over and over again. I'm T. Wood, and this is Triumphant Moments, where I highlight significant moments in life that are beyond the surface to encourage, inform, and inspire people to triumph over life's challenges. Let's go. Here with me today, I have attorney Ms. Neibra Williams. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Appreciate you taking out time to come in today and sit down and talk with, the Triumphant Moments family.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So look, we're going to go ahead and just dive right into it. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
If you could give us an idea of your upbringing, how would you describe your upbringing? Where were you born and how was it?
Okay. I was born in this very small town, Quincy, Florida.
Quincy's huge.
In what world?
Okay, you got it.
Little town west of Tallahassee.
Gotcha.
Majority blacks. Very small family. Mm-hmm. Everybody lived in Quincy.
Okay.
High school, middle school, elementary school. If the friends that you had in elementary school continue to be your friends in high school. You matriculated every year to the same, with the same group of people.
Right.
And from there, I went to Florida State undergrad.
Okay.
Major difference.
Okay.
Eye-opening reality check.
Right.
And then from there, I went to Florida State Law School.
I tell you what, siblings, brothers, sisters.
Well, let's see. I got two sides.
Okay.
Because on my mom's side, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So I have an older brother and sister. On my dad's side, I'm the oldest. So I have 4 brothers.
Right.
And so I get to be the big sister to boys, and then I get to be the little sister on my mom's side.
Yeah. Now, were you in between? Were you kind of the boss in between, or was it your older brother? Who?
I'm always the boss. I'm not gonna even lie. On my mom's side, my sister and brother, they are more like I'm like the outsider. Okay. I'm more like my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
So my brothers are more like me, but I wasn't raised with them.
Okay.
And so I felt like a outsider in my mom's house, but I wasn't involved as much with my father when I was younger. But once I, reconciled the relationship and developed a relationship with my brothers, I realized that was really family. I was more familiar with them.
Wow.
So I still got to, because I was a big sister, I got to be the controlling big sister. You had to.
Yeah.
My brothers, I'm 5'5". I got a brother that's 6'8". My youngest brother was 6'9" or 6'10". So, these guys are towering over me as children. And so I had to exercise control early on.
Oh, so you had to kind of train them early.
Yeah. Work that mind. You instill that fear in their mind.
There you go.
Because I saw them growing up, and they were going to be taller than me and bigger than me. I was like, I got to get it early.
Let me get on this right now. See? So when we talk about the topic of law, being an attorney, is this something that at the last second, somewhere halfway through high school, you thought, hey, you know what? I might be interested in being an attorney?
No. Anybody who knows me knows. They've heard the story 1,000 times. I've been wanting to be an attorney since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
All of the shows, Law and Orders, of course, my favorite. But back, we had the L.A. Laws, you got the Perry Masons, the Matlocks, all those shows from when I was a kid. I would just gravitate to it, and I would just be so glued to it. My mom was like, she's going to be a lawyer. She's going to be a lawyer. And I'd already declared it in my head, but my mom started declaring it. And so there was no plan B. I thank God that I got into law school and became a lawyer because I didn't have a plan B.
Wow. So you locked in from the age of 7.
7.
Is there anything at that age what was most significant that stood out that was like, okay, that's what you want to do? There had to have been something
it was a show. I don't remember what the show was, but my brother and sister, they are in the cartoons and stuff like that. And I remember flipping, and somebody was in a courtroom and arguing a case, and I remember stopping. And see, back then we didn't have the remote controls. We had the little knob, so you're turning. And I got glued to a show with somebody arguing in court. And every day I wanted to watch that show. And then as I got older, there were more shows. I didn't know that person was a lawyer. I was just glued to the show. And then I started looking for other shows like that. And even now, I'm glued. If Law and Order comes on TV, if that opening sound from the show comes on TV, I'm mesmerized.
Yes. So you are also a mother.
Yeah. And a grandmother.
And a grandmother.
Yes. Okay. I have my oldest is 22.
Okay.
And my youngest is 15. So 22 going on 16, 17, and 15 going on 23, 24. And then my granddaughter will be a year old October 17th.
Yeah. Okay, so that's coming up. Coming up.
Yes. My birthday's the 20th, so she and I we're gonna have our moment where we're just celebrating, just the two of us celebrate our birthdays.
Oh, y'all gotta be excited.
Oh God. She's clueless, but I'm excited. She won't know about it until she's 4 or 5, but we're gonna do big. We're gonna do something very big. That's to commemorate her first birthday and my 50th.
Well, that's going to be an awesome milestone. So is it safe to say, okay, so your mother, grandmother, and working within your profession as an attorney, tell me this. What are some of the successes that you would say that you've had or maintained, being an attorney, or practice, things of that sort?
Well, I think I'll tell you the greatest challenge, and then I'll tell the success part of it.
Okay.
The greatest challenge is trying to navigate between being a successful attorney and a successful mother.
Okay.
And so that was a balance. Everything about my career and my parenting, I had to decide when to have children. How many children to have, because I know that the law was going to consume me, and I wanted to make sure that I had the time. I wanted to make sure my career was established enough to take that break to become a parent,
right, but
also that I had the time to devote to my children without my career suffering. Wow. So I say the success comes in, I mastered it. There were challenges. I mean, I wasn't perfect,
right,
and I'm still struggling through it because our children, they are our children forever. So I'm still struggling with it, but I've maintained. My children. If you talk to any of my children, I never missed a t-ball game, never missed a track meet, never missed a basketball game. There were times I would be running to the field in my work clothes and high heel shoes.
Wow.
My oldest ran track, and he wouldn't line up. He ran the 100 and the 200. He would not line up unless his mom was in the audience. Wow. And I sat the same place every time.
Wow.
And I remember every time I was there, I would have on my little cheerleader shirts with his name on it. But I remember one time I was running late for court, and I finally said, Your Honor, I got to go. My son is not going to run track. He's not going to line up until I get there. And the judge looked at me crazy, but I was like, I got to go. We were supposed to be done an hour ago. I got to go. And it was Tallahassee. It was Gobby. And I was running, and they were lining up. And the coach was texting me. He's like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I said, just tell him.
Even the coach knew.
Yes. And I wasn't in my normal place. And he could see Miles looking for me. And I remember, I said, just tell him I'll be at the finish line.
Right.
And he said, he must have said it. And I was standing at the finish line like this, like, here I am, hot, sweaty with my work suit on.
So you made it. You made it. Oh, man.
I made it, but I wasn't in my place. And it was a lesson to me. Never schedule anything around your children's events.
Listen up, mothers, to my ladies that are balancing.
Your children and their activity has to be priority even over your court appearances. And so that day, it was a lesson to me.
See, so that poses a question. How did you maintain professional and personal without one taking over the other?
Well, it's a balancing act, and I will dare say that I still have not mastered it. It requires a lot of prayer.
Good point.
A lot of prayer.
Right.
What you learn, I learned from the first child what not to do with the second child. And I have two vastly different children.
I was going to ask.
My oldest he's wild, carefree, just love life, very outgoing.
Okay.
But in my words, reckless. You know, he's the one that keeps you on your knees.
Uh-oh.
My youngest is the polar opposite. He's reserved. He's antisociable, very disciplined in his work. I don't have to stand over and make sure his work done. But the second one is like, you won't even know he's there. Never have any issues with him, but I worry about him being so antisocial.
Gotcha.
And so I learned what I learned from the first that I carried to the second one is with my first one, because I always felt like I had to stay on him.
Right.
I think I enabled him.
Okay.
I spoiled him. I got frustrated with him, so I basically took care of him.
Right.
And I enabled him.
Gotcha.
So I've learned with the second one not to do that. So my second one, he's a little smart, little brainiac kind of child. So he knows what I did for Miles, and he'll say, well, you didn't do that for Miles, and you did this for Miles, and why are you not doing that for me? I was like, because I learned my lessons. And I did. And so he understands it, but when it benefits him, he wants to remind me of some of the things that I allowed Miles to do that he's not allowed to do.
Now, I understand, well, at least to my understanding here, is that when it comes to being an attorney, working in the legal system, I guess there is no specific thing that you could say that you specialize in. It's more based on just what area you choose to be more experienced in.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Some attorneys are board certified. So you can be board certified in family law or personal injury law, criminal law.
Okay.
It's just like with anything else. You take a couple of tests, you take a bunch of classes, and you become board certified.
Okay.
That type of specialty is something you get to brag about on your resumes, on your websites. But it's no different. The only difference between a person board certified in family law and me is they paid for a test and they've gotten paid for a label.
Oh.
I practice. My specialty is in family law.
In family law.
And so that's my practice area. Majority of my cases are in family law. I'm not board certified because I don't feel like I need to pay somebody to give me a label that won't mean anything to my clients anyway.
Are there some other areas that you worked in as far as with law? Is it just family law?
Mostly family law.
Okay.
Family law kind of branches out. You got guardianship, which relates to people who suffered mental health issues or become ill and you need a guardian appointed. Or sometimes guardian over children. Grandparents become guardian over children when their parents have passed away. Then you got probate, which is when somebody passed away, we have to administer the estate. Those are all considered part of family law.
Right.
Then I do consumer law or civil practice, debt collection.
Okay.
Most of my cases start as a family law case, and the clients have a probate, a family member who passes away, and they say, Neibra, I only trust you, the only lawyer I trust, so I need you to go over here and take care of this probate.
Oh, it transcends.
Or I need you to take care of this guardianship because I don't know any other lawyers. I was satisfied with you over on my divorce case or my paternity case.
Right.
And so can you do this for me?
Right.
And so most of my other areas develop off of my relationship with the traditional family law.
Wow.
client.
And so how many years have you been involved in?
Well, I guess I could say it. I already said I'm 50. Usually when that question is asked, I'm like, okay, I'm about to tell my age. But I've already confessed I'm about to turn 50. So 26 years. 26 years.
26 years.
Primarily family law.
Okay. 26 years. And you foresee yourself another 20 years?
I think if you talk to and during COVID, any lawyer, but pre-COVID, any family lawyer, I think we quit family law like every month. I would say once or twice every month we quit family law. It's very emotional. Clients are emotional, and we understand it. But
like taking a break? You mean like taking a break? When you say, okay.
No, like quit. Quit, like I'm going to go become a criminal attorney or I'm going to go out and do some personal injury cases. And then you'll get that one case or that one client that calls you out of the blue and say, hey, Neibra, I just want to tell you how much I enjoyed and how much I appreciate you, how you made a difference in my case. And I get real right back in. And I always say God has a great sense of humor because right when I decide that I don't want to do it anymore, he sends that client in. Or a client, or it may be an old client or a new client. New client comes in and they're spilling out all of their emotions on me, and I'll grab their hand or pray with them or whatever, and they'll tell me how this consultation made a difference in their life. And I just got to look up at God. It's like, here we go.
Wow. So you've had those moments that really touched you and used that as energy, I guess, to kind of press on.
Yeah, I have a lot of moments. I have wonderful clients. Wow. Wonderful clients. I would dare say that I know they're coming to me for service, but I get so much out of my relationship with them. And so it's a wonderful give and take relationship. So as much as I think that I want, and a lot of times I only want to leave family law because it's so overwhelming and work, and then I have something going on in my personal life that's overwhelming, and it's like I never get a break from the emotions and all of the drama.
Right.
But when everything's going good with me at home, I can handle my clients because I know that I'm a catalyst. God sent them to me for a reason.
Right.
I have clients come to me and say, back in the day, now, I've been 26 years, so back in the day they would say, I was flipping through the phone book, and I asked God for a lawyer. I know we don't use phone books no more, but they were like, I was flipping through the phone book, and I opened the lawyers, and your face was there. This was back when I advertised in the yellow pages.
The yellow pages.
Yeah, I know, I'm taking you way back. Way back. And so they would say, so I knew that God was, and so now I was Googling on the internet trying to find a family lawyer, your face came up or your name came up, so I know that God sent me. And sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah. By the time the consultation is over, I'm going, nah, this ain't God. This definitely was not God.
Oh, man.
But they're convinced it was God. I was like, no, this is definitely not a God relationship. I think this is Satan spawn right here.
Appreciate that honesty. Appreciate that honesty. So you are a believer that things don't just happen? Do you believe that everything kind of intertwines for a reason?
Oh, yeah. I've lived my life like that. I always tell my kids when it comes to a relationship with God,
right?
It's easier to believe in God than to not believe in God because I walk around, I walk on faith. So it's like, if things happen, it's meant to be. If it didn't happen, it wasn't meant for me. And I can survive like that. And so whenever I have a meeting or interaction with people, if they come to me and say, God sent me to them, that's easy for me.
Like the first thing that they'll...
Yeah. And that happens a lot. And, with a lawyer, I don't think anybody, when you're planning your life or budgeting in what's going to happen in your life, you don't budget in a lawyer. Because majority of the time, for the majority of the situations, lawyers come in a negative situation. Somebody's died, somebody's mentally incapacitated, somebody going through a divorce, you break down of a relationship, so we got to go do the baby mama drama cases, somebody's being sued. So lawyers usually come in at a negative time in people's lives, and nobody's sitting back saying, okay, let me budget in money for a lawyer. So obviously, when you find yourself in that situation, if you have a relationship with God, when you find yourself in that situation, you go to God and you say, okay, God, I don't know a lawyer. Lead me to the right lawyer. So when they say that to me, I really believe it.
Wow.
And also God knows me. He knows my personality.
Absolutely.
I'm not your traditional lawyer. So he has to send the right people to me because they come to me looking for a certain type of lawyer. I may not be that person. And so I do really believe it, but I still have my own belief, and I know God knows who to send to me, who not to send to me.
So there is some discernment in it. There is some discernment in it, and kind of feeling out the situation.
Definitely.
So I guess it is true that not every attorney is best for every situation. I guess best practice is to kind of mention, like, if you don't think, this would be the best situation, as far as I guess helping someone, is it a situation where you can refer to?
Well, I think people, when they're looking for an attorney, they're looking for success rate, or they're looking at these commercials. That works for criminal attorneys and maybe personal injury attorneys. Okay. When it comes to family lawyers, because there's no success. In a divorce case or a custody battle, there's no winning. The fact that you're here going through a divorce means it's a failure.
Gotcha.
Failure of your marriage. So to go in and interview an attorney, a family lawyer, asking them how many cases you won, that's a red flag to me.
Wow.
Because I don't see it as a win. I mean, anybody who knows me now, I have my cocky moments when I have a great story to tell. My staff knows it because when I come back, leave court and I feel like I've accomplished something. I feel myself sometimes and I be bragging about what I accomplished, but it never has anything to do with the results because I always acknowledge that I've had to split the baby or I've had to divide up some assets or I've just been the final nail on the coffin in a marriage. So it's never about that. It may be something about strategy or something that I did, but the mistake people make with family lawyers is judging it based on success rate or how many cases you had. What they should be focusing on is the bond. Are you bonding with that attorney? Do you have a good rapport with the attorney? Because if I'm like not communicating, we're not in a conversation, but I'm just writing there and I'm looking at my clock constantly.
Oh, wow.
That tells you what type of attorney I'm going to be when you give me all your money and you're never going to be able to reach me. I'm not paying attention to your story. I'm just, writing down tidbits. And there's a lot of attorneys out there, family law and other attorneys. This is just a job to them. To me, that I'm still that 7-year-old girl where God said, this is what you're going to be.
Right.
I still take that to heart, and I know this is where he wanted me to be. And so I know I need to take care of the gift that he gave me.
See, so what is, turn the corner here, what would be, in your opinion, some misconceptions about mothers and shared parenting? Are there any misconceptions that, this is for my ladies, this is for my female viewers. Let's touch this topic. Let's get this, all right?
Okay.
Let's attack
You're going to
this,
get me
all
in
right?
trouble now.
Look, we here at Triumphant Moments, we want to dig. This is how we overcome it. But
well, I think, so the trend right now, there's a lot of changes in the law, and I know this is statewide. A lot of changes in the law when it comes to family law and custody battles and parenting. The trend used to be, the norm used to be that the best interest of the children is a mom, in a separation, the mom to have the primary custody, fathers to have limited time. I don't know when and why, but it was based on old days when the dads used to work outside of the house and the moms were the homemakers. Well, I've been an attorney for 26 years, and I didn't live in that time, but that was what the norm was back then. Now the trend has gone more to 50-50. I think majority of the jurisdictions now, because of the psychologists and counselors, determine that if fathers want to be and they're fit to be a part of the children's life, they should be.
So it sounds like you're saying there's an uptick in fathers wanting to be in the child.
Thank you.
Okay.
But the caveat is some men want it for the wrong reason. They don't want to be a father to the children. They don't want to be a participant in the children's life. They just want to reduce the child support.
Wow.
And so what I see a lot, and I represent a lot of men by default because all of the changes in the law are favoring men. And so now they're learning it and they're coming and then they're looking for an attorney. They're finding me. It's not that I'm biased against women or I'm a male's attorney, male's rights attorney. It's just that the laws are favoring men and they're taking advantage of it. So one of the fallacies, one of the misconceptions that I see are women, even the younger generation of women, mothers, thinking that it's automatically bad, that a father wants to 50-50. Oh, he just wants 50-50 because it reduces his child support. They come to me or on the opposite side of me with that misconception. And my first thought is, first of all, ma'am, he's paid me a nice little chunk of money to get 50% time, and you're saying he's doing that to avoid paying you money? It doesn't make sense for him to pay me money. You'd rather give it to me than give it to your children? To give it to her? And so they come in there with, and so I play devil's advocate all the time. When I'm representing women or when I'm on the other side and the other side doesn't have an attorney, I said, well, let's see. Give it to him. And then give it to him at the time that's most inconvenient to him. Football Sundays.
Oh, wow.
Black college parties. Back in the day, the Freakniks and the homecomings. Oh, wow. All of that stuff that he loves to do. Give him the children during that time, because we know as much of a blessing that children are, they are inconvenience, especially when you have something you want to do. And so give him that time. And I would strategically, with my women client, sit down and we will pull out the year's calendar and we'll find out when Super Bowl Sunday is. We'll find out what his favorite teams. If it's Steelers is his favorite team, we'll find out every time Steelers playing. And we will devise a schedule to ensure that the children are with him. But the catch is with my clients, if he passed this test, get off this money issue.
Okay.
Get off it.
Okay.
Because this man genuinely wants to be a part of his children's life. And then the case is settled.
Wow. That was extremely efficient, what you just said. I never would have thought those moments to where we love some football.
I know.
Fellas, y'all know we love some football, sports, and things of that sort. But to have your child come during those times that you're trying to get into those moments, let me put a little devil's advocate into this here.
Okay.
But let's say you have hardworking men. Let's just say that anybody, we're all hardworking. But what if there's a moment where that is that pastime? That is that pastime for them to, I guess, vent, relax, whatever. Yeah. What do you say to that? Is that good enough excuse or?
One of the things we realize, and anybody who's actively parenting understands that they need breaks. And so the plan is not to make sure that he never has those opportunities to take breaks. Right. The plan or the objective behind that little role playing is to see if he's going to make that sacrifice, because the women think he's never going to make that sacrifice. He likes to hang out. He likes to drink. He has to go to clubs. He's never going to sacrifice to the level that she does.
Oh, wow.
Because women, we tend to think that we sacrifice more than you guys.
Right.
And so he only has to do it 1 or 2 times to convince her he's going to do it. And then once he does it, then she'll let him off the hook, because now she's missing her children.
Right.
So his Super Bowl Sunday may have been her family time with her kids. Mm-hmm. And so now it's Super Bowl. He's done it a couple of times. And she'll say, you know what, I'll come get the kids early. He just has to show that he's willing to make that sacrifice. And if he does it and he does it consistently, then that's all we want. That's all they want. And then he'll get what he wants. Because we understand, even when we're in a relationship, sometimes I had a kid, sometimes you do. When I'm with my girls, you got the kids. When you football Sunday, I got the kids. Right. So it's not a punishment thing. And if the guy says, hey, you know, I want to watch the game, do you mind if I take the children over to my mom's? That's fine. And he didn't even have to tell her that. But don't constantly do it every time he has something going on, because he's feeding. I love what I do. He's feeding right into my trap. Because when he goes to court and say, y'all and I want 50-50, and without that role playing, I wouldn't have anything to say that he's failed it. Now I can say, well, Yana, we tried it. He dropped the kid off at this person. He kept dropping the kid off them. I mean, this is the key. Moms, because we're so used to rescuing the dads, we can't rescue them. So we can't. So I tell my clients, I'm like, look, he's going to knock on your door with those kids. They're going to be screaming, Mom, Mom, Mom. I said, don't you dare open that door. I said, turn your lights off, keep your TV down low. I said, park your car in the neighbor's yard. Do not dare. I said, and then let's mess with him. Call his phone and be like, hey, just want to speak to the kids. I'm about to get on the plane. I'm about to go to the Bahamas. I'm about to go out of town. Oh, that's the worst thing in the world. How dare you go out of town when I got him on Super Bowl Sunday? And you going out and have a good time, and I'm tied down with the kids. See, it's a test. Either he's going to say, have fun, I got it. Right. Or he's going to be trying to throw them kids at you.
And make that sacrifice. So at the end of the day, you know, it's almost a test of, you know, whether you're willing to kind of work that sacrifice and be able to make that, you know, for the sake of the time spent with your child. Now, let's take a second to think back to a situation where you had, you know, a couple, well, maybe not a couple, but mother, father, you know, battling over custody in that situation. Can you think back to something that stands out to you that you see at maybe not their situation, but a situation that you see a lot of mom and dad going through? What are some key situations that you think are problems or challenges for them when trying to get, I guess, battle over custody for the child?
I think one of the things that always gets in the way is outside influences. A lot of times, not all the time, but every now and, well, no, not every now and then, a lot of times, by the time they get to the lawyers, dad has moved on to another relationship. More so men than women. Dad's in another relationship, so now the girlfriend is in the picture. Right. Mom is upset because mom believes that he's flaunting the girlfriend in front of him. So now the children are with the girlfriend. The girlfriend is doing the drop off and pick up. Right. And dad is not doing it intentionally to get the mom. He's just not paying attention to it. Gotcha. But he's also not paying attention to the reaction from the mom. So it could start out as a case that I've determined based on my experience that will resolve fairly quickly. But lo and behold, here come a girlfriend. And then now the girlfriend is doing the texting and the communication. The girlfriend is getting in the argument with the mom or the ex-wife or whatever. And so now that's a whole new, the case takes on a whole new life of its own because of this outside influence. And so what I tell my clients is, because again, I represent mostly men, I say, if you have a girlfriend, she needs to stand down. Stand down. And if I find that she's becoming an issue in the case, then I'm going to withdraw. Because I'm not going to babysit that kind of drama.
Okay.
And I'm one of I do flat fee cases, so I like to get in and get out.
Right.
I'm not trying to hang around with you for years.
Right.
I like to get in and get out because my money is tied. It's a flat fee. If I was a billable attorney that was billing $350 an hour, we can fight and have drama from now to eternity because it's going to just fatten my pocket. But I'm not trying to be dealing with that. And if you can't control the girlfriend or the boyfriend, and you're allowing them to aggravate the case, then you're allowing them to aggravate me. And then you and I don't see eye to eye.
So see, let's step into a moment. We're going to pull back to when you as a mother, grandmother, and an attorney. So is there a moment that you can stand back and say, okay, I accomplished that. You know, I made it through that. I succeeded in that. What's something that stands off in your mind? I
don't know how much time we got.
and it's not going to be the thing that is the highest, but it'll be one of the things that for you it's like, okay, I made it through that and I was able to do that. You know, I was able to accomplish this. Is there anything? I tell you what, let's slice it up. Professional. Okay. What stands out as far as your accomplishments?
What stands out most to me in terms of professional well, I think like you asked me at the beginning,
right?
You know, about my hometown.
Okay.
See, not too many people may know anything about Gaston County, Quincy, Florida, but you got poor people, a lot of broken English, a lot of slang. I remember graduating from high school and getting a scholarship. I had a scholarship for FAMU and a scholarship for FSU. Obviously, FSU paid more than FAMU.
Right.
So obviously, because of my family's financial situation, I took the Florida State one. But I remember my guidance counselor calling me and saying, because you're not supposed to graduate from Gaston County and go to Florida State. You're supposed to automatically go to FAMU because that's where all the black people are, and that's what you're accustomed to.
Okay.
And so you can matriculate there a lot easily. When I made the decision to join FSU, which apparently nobody else had done, she pulled me to the side and she says, okay, if you're going to be over there with majority white students, we need to work on you. And I was like, well, my grades are good. I got a full scholarship. Well, we had to work on this grammar.
Okay.
You know, we taught slang. Mama taught slang, dad taught slang, teachers taught slang, everybody taught slang. I had no idea that a lot of words that I was using was not appropriate.
Right.
Or not correct grammar. And so I spent the entire summer before I went to it was designated. It was a plan to spend the entire summer before I started FSU, getting that slang and ebonics out of my
so there was some grooming. There was some grooming
too. It was a lot of grooming. It was every weekend. You know, we would go to the dictionary and she would teach me how to properly pronounce words. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say those words because every time I say it, people laugh at me.
Oh, man.
But it was a grooming process. The negative though is it got cut short because I didn't finish the whole summer because I got accepted to the summer program. So I'd only had maybe 4 or 5 weeks of what would have been an 8-week grooming process.
Right.
And so I was thrown into FSU, and in my mind, I wasn't ready. So you talk about a younger.
But was there, and pardon me, was that a moment that you felt was a very defining, a moment that you were proud of? Was it that process, the fact that you went through the grooming process of getting out and beating the trend? Because it sounds like you're saying the trend was to go from where you're saying to, we're going to go to Florida A&M University.
Yeah, I had to break that cycle of that we can only leave Gaston County, and we had to go to FAMU. And I had to break out of that shell of shyness. I was uncomfortable and insecure when I was at FSU. and then becoming a lawyer. So you're talking about this once cocky kid that thought I could do everything, now was wondering and concerned about speaking, public speaking, because my guidance counselor had made me think that I couldn't speak properly. And now I'm there at FSU.
Wow.
And
Now,
then being an attorney, we talk all the time.
look, disclaimer, Florida A&M University is one of the best schools in the land. Let's make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
All hail to FAMU.
All right.
But,
Send that shout out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I mean, there's other colleges that provide a little bit more financial assistance.
Absolutely.
That, you can be a rattler at heart, but you got to go take care of business.
Right. And you did what was best for you in your situation and have done an awesome job at it. So now when we're looking at being a mother, okay, it has its challenges, clearly, because you're still maintaining this as far as your profession and still maintaining being a mother. Okay. What are some suggestions that you can provide to the mothers that are viewing this and that are listening, that are professional women but are mothers at the same time? Is there any suggestion, or is there any basically a challenge that you experience being a mother that you can relate? You can relate out.
Yeah, I've had a lot of challenges. Being a divorce attorney or family lawyer, I've been divorced twice.
Right.
And so I've had 2 very unsuccessful marital relationships. And the drama from that relationship affected not only my ability to be a good parent to my children, but also my ability to do a good service for my clients. And so one of the suggestions, it's all about balance.
Right.
You hear people talk about balance and establish balance in a lot of ways. Again, I'm still working on it, so I haven't perfected it, and everybody has to figure out their own balance.
It's a process.
But I think from a mother standpoint, you want to make sure that if you're in a relationship, that is a healthy relationship, not just for you, but a healthy relationship for your children. Sometimes you may think it's a good relationship with you, but it's horrible for your children, and you got to pay attention to that. I think if I could do things over again, I would work on this balance thing a lot earlier. My firm, thank God, is very successful, and I've been able to master the parenting and be there for my children and run a successful firm. But my relationship issues with their fathers was a big, huge distraction. And a lot of times that consumed me so much that I couldn't be there for my children, and I couldn't give 100% to my client and my career. So just make sure that it's a balance all the way around. Don't be so afraid to leave a relationship.
Wow.
If a relationship, it may be satisfactory to you 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, if it's bringing you drama, just leave.
Wow.
I stayed in my first marriage, I was only married for a year and a half. My second marriage, I was with him for 16 years. I stayed too long for the wrong reason. Had nothing to do with me, had nothing to do with my children or my career. I just stayed there too long.
So there is a mother listening or watching in a similar situation to what you're describing. It may be that the father, of their child is, let's say, the situation's just not working out. It could be pulling at her to where she's not able to maintain, professionally, things that she needs to take care of there and proper time with her child because it's so distracting because of that relationship she's in. What would you say to that mother right now that is experiencing something that you've experienced, that you just described right now? What would you say to her to, I guess in the essence, to keep going?
Well, I think that what she needs to do is get in her quiet room and take some quiet time. Away from her husband, boyfriend, away from the children, away from her career, away from the news, away from COVID talk, and just get in touch with herself and take herself back to that person she was when she was most happiest, when she was making goals, when she was excited about life, and try to tap back into that person. And then ask yourself, that person, would she be happy with this relationship? Would she be happy with that career? Would she be happy with her lifestyle? Would she be happy with this? And when you take yourself back, because as women, as mothers, we get lost. We get lost into the children, the wife role. We get lost into the career, and you forget who you are. And you're going to have to go back and find that person. I'm a vision board person, and I have vision boards for different aspects of my life, including old Neibra. You heard Jenny from the block. I'm Neibra from Quincy. When I tap into Neibra from Quincy, I go back and I got a vision board that these are the things that Neibra wanted, not Attorney Williams, or not mommy, or not wifey, but these are the things that Neibra wanted. And I forgot about those things. And so with my current vision board, my Neibra board, and it's got Neibra at the top, not attorney or nothing. And I look at that, and now that's at this stage, and I'm on my last leg. I am going searching for those things, because those are the things that make me happy.
So you would suggest for someone, would you suggest even a dream board?
Oh, yeah. I love them. I love them, and my friends and I, we get together and we develop each other's board and talk about it. So my advice is, if she's in a bad relationship, but let me just say this.
Okay.
When in that quiet moment when she's trying to figure out, and she's thinking about all the things that are going wrong in her life, she needs to do some self-analysis. So
kind of
she's
meditating.
gonna have to look at herself.
Okay.
And determine what she's bringing to the breakdown of her relationship, what she's bringing to the breakdown of her parenting relationship with her kids. Sometimes we're quick to get in our quiet room and start thinking about all these wonderful things that I want in life that doesn't involve this guy or whatever. And, I'm going to get me a man that can do this, and be like, you got to start asking yourself, now, what did you do? You ain't perfect. You ain't walk on water. And see, that was difficult for me. I could tell you everything that my first and second husband did that was wrong. It took me a while to get to the point to say, Neibra, what did you do?
That is honesty. Honesty alert.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Neibra walked on water for a period in time.
Wow. So did it take some time for you to say, okay, I might have made this mistake, or I could tweak this. Maybe I could be a little more open to that. Did it take some time to get there, or was it like you saw it and just ignored it?
Work in progress.
Work in progress?
It's still a work in progress. I mean, I am never been really emotional type, not the touchy-feely type, not the affectionate type.
Right.
And apparently men like that kind of stuff. Well, sorry, I have it. It ain't in me. But in the process of counseling, I went to counseling, professional counseling. I've learned that it may not be innately in me, but I can work on those things. I was I'm not going to say cocky. I'm very confident in who I am. And I thought that everything that I brought to the table was enough or should be enough. And so I didn't see a need to fix or tweak anything.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes we get these career women, we get like that. I got this to offer, got this to offer. But what you have to offer apparently ain't enough. If you're lonely or in a relationship and lonely, or not in a relationship and lonely.
Wow.
So I had to go in and kind of pay attention to some of the complaints that my husbands or prior boyfriends had about me that I ignored, because I just say, you ignorant or you stupid.
So I want to turn a corner here and ask the question. And this is, again, I really want to cater this to the mothers, to the ladies here. What can mothers do to promote a healthy co-parenting situation? What can the mothers do in that situation? Granted that nobody's perfect. I'm not. Right. I'm not talking about the guys right now. Specifically the mothers.
But one of the things they should do is lay the emotional stuff down. He did what with whom, put that stuff to the side.
Okay.
That doesn't matter in the parenting relationship. So if she can go to counseling, find a way, spiritual, professionally, whatever type of counseling, to deal with the hurt that was associated with the relationship. And then compartmentalize that. Put that over there. Now look at his attributes as a father. At some point, she loved him enough to have a baby with him. And she determined that he would be an okay father. I know it may have been an oops moment.
Right.
But at some point, she decided that he's okay enough to be a father.
Good point.
And then if they have 2 or 3 kids, he was okay enough to keep going back to be a father. Obviously. See if you can tap into those things. Recognize that men are not going to be like us. Right. You all are not going to, devote your life to just the parenting. I mean, that's something that we do. Right. That we're not required to do, but we just do naturally. Right. Don't expect him to do everything you do, to be as attentive to homework, as attentive to hygiene. He wasn't like that when you were together. Right. Just tap into those things that he did that you thought were good enough when you were with him, and let that be okay when you're without him. Because when they're going through these breakups, they're like, well, he didn't do this. And I'm like, well, did he do that when y'all were married? Well, no, I did all that. Okay, well, then he can't turn into this magical person.
Right.
If he did that, let him do what he did.
Right.
And then you make up. If your kids don't brush their teeth for 3 days, guess what? They coming home to mama, and they just going to brush them like double. I make them brush it 3 or 4 times a day. Okay, he doesn't know how to cook. Well, did he cook in the marriage? Well, no, I cook. Well, hell, he still don't know how to cook. Don't expect him to know how to cook because y'all got divorced. They're gonna eat out,
right.
But don't hold that over him. And that's what women we tend to do. We hold them to our standards after the breakup.
Okay.
So you ain't do it there. Don't try to do it now. But all of that, it has very little to do with him or what he's doing or not doing. It has more to do with what she's feeling. You know, the loss of the relationship, the jealousy because he's moved on.
Right.
It's all of that other emotional stuff that's really fueling that fire. And I know from my experience that once men and women deal with the emotional stuff, the parenting part falls into place.
Okay. See, with that growth, with that continued growth, if someone wanted to reach out and be able to, contact you or your services, are you doing work in Tallahassee, Florida? Or?
Yes. My primary office is in Tallahassee.
Okay.
2425 Terrell Drive, Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay.
And so you can Google any attorney. You can always find an attorney. That's one person you can find no matter what.
Right.
I have moved to the Atlanta area. I will be taking the Georgia bar and expanding the practice eventually. I moved to Atlanta to enjoy life, but COVID has set me on a different path. So I will be doing some type of business in Georgia. But for right now, you can find me in Tallahassee. And I practice family law throughout the state of Florida.
So I want you to tell me, when I ask this, I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Because there could be a bunch of them, okay? Defining moment for Neibra Williams as an attorney.
Oh, yeah, it's a bunch of them.
Bunch of them. Whatever.
I think my defining moment was when I started my practice. Okay, so it's a little story behind it.
Okay.
I worked for my mentor, who's a wonderful woman, but she became a judge. And so she and I were building a partnership. It was disappointing to me when she became a judge, and so I ended up working at this small personal injury firm.
Okay.
Loved the guys, wonderful, but it wasn't where I was supposed to be. And so I married my first husband as a way to get out of Tallahassee, ended up in Pensacola. I worked for another small firm. It wasn't a good fit. So when I became pregnant with my oldest, I found out that she planned to terminate me. Well, my former mentor, because when she became a judge, she offered me her practice. I didn't take it because I was afraid. I didn't feel like I was ready.
Wow.
I had this plan, vision board, goals sheet that said I wasn't going to start my practice until I got 28. I needed this learning curve, and I wasn't there. But here I am in Pensacola, no contacts, newly married, 8 months pregnant, finding out that my boss is going to terminate me on maternity leave.
Wow.
And so I started my own practice. I was 8 months pregnant.
Wait a minute.
Started my own practice. And it was the strangest thing. It was, God, it's a God moment. Those moments when, it couldn't nobody but God. I was sitting in her office, and I get a phone call from her friend who had this British accent. I knew exactly who it was, but she says, Neibra, you don't know who I am, but I'm just letting you know that your boss is going to fire you as soon as you go on maternity leave. And I just felt so bad, this. And I knew who she was from the accent. I was like, what? And she tells me this. And so I'm getting ready to go on maternity leave in 2 weeks. I reached out to some of my colleagues. I got an office space. I got equipment. I did all of this. I went into labor, and by the time I went into labor, I had my firm was all set up.
So you got the call after. Is this before? Did you went and got the things you needed for your practice?
2 weeks.
Wow.
2 weeks. I was getting ready. ready. My clients were on notice that I was going on paternity leave. I was going to be back in 2 months.
Right.
And as soon as I'd gone on the paternity leave, she was going to give me my firing letter. And so I would have been there helpless, not no clients or anything. And so I, kicked into gear. And I had 2 weeks before my baby was due, and it was a planned birth. So I had 2 weeks, and I started my practice. And after my son was born, I transferred my phone to my home phone.
Defining.
And I thought about it, and I looked back at when I had an opportunity in my hometown, in Tallahassee, to have a practice, basically have a practice given to me.
Okay.
And I didn't trust myself enough to know that I was ready then. We're talking about less than 2 years from that moment. But I knew I had to go through all of these changes in order for me to know that I was ready. Everybody else knew I was ready. I didn't know I was ready.
Wow.
But when I was thrust in that situation, it was just amazing. So when I tell people, I started my practice when I was 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
2 weeks. And I built a successful practice from there, raising 2 boys. Yeah.
Oh, man. You talk about a defining moment in time. As far as career-wise, I'm just blown away that 8 months pregnant. It's almost like you were pushed into a corner. And so you had to choose. It's almost like, okay, sink or swim.
Yeah.
What you going to do?
Yeah.
And you found it in yourself. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be able to swim.
Mentally.
It was amazing because I was having complications. That's why the pregnancy was planned. It was planned. I didn't go into labor. I wasn't supposed to go into labor. And I remember because when my boss found out that I knew.
Yeah.
Apparently she had my office bugged or something. I remember I came in on a Monday morning. She had changed the locks.
Wow.
And packed my stuff. And so there I was, high-risk pregnancy, about to go have a cesarean done in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And she has all of these boxes on the porch. And she's telling me I got 30 minutes to move my stuff off her porch.
Right.
And I can't reach anybody to help me. And so I'm like standing there, and it was a high porch, kicking my boxes down the steps to the road to get it off her property, because this is furniture that had been given to me by my mentor that I brought to Pensacola.
Right.
So I'm kicking my furniture and my boxes to get it off her property so she wouldn't take it. And then a friend of mine, which a friend of hers, saw me, and he was walking, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "She's told me to get off her property. She found out I'm starting my own practice." And he says, "Go sit your big, fat, pregnant ass down and go sit on the porch, and I got it." And that guy, he moved all of my stuff. Wow. I sat on her porch, on the stoop, because I couldn't be on her property.
Wow.
And he moved all of my stuff into my new space.
When he came up and he did that, and he stood in the gap, when you sat down, mentally, how are you maintaining mentally at that point? If you could think back to how you just locked in autopilot, like what?
I remember it. I remember thinking, thank you, God, for sending your angels, and thank you, God, for allowing me to listen. Because that friend of hers that called me, if she had never called me, I would have never known it.
You would have never known
and
that.
Tyrone, which is his name, happened to be walking down the street at the same time that I was being kicked out of this office space.
That's unbelievable.
Walking now. They had to be, because Neibra, I probably would have miscarried because I would have gone into early birth, because I was going to get my stuff into this car and I was going to take it to my new office. I'd worked hard to get this furniture.
One way or another.
And it was going to get there. I'd already kicked it down the steps.
Right.
But I was going to get it over there. And I could not reach. And it was like, my husband was military. I could not reach him. I mean, the one time I can't reach you. You got a pregnant wife, I can't reach you.
Right.
And so it was meant to be. Everything happens the way God ordained it. And it took all of that just to make me understand that I was ready. Wow. That I could do this. And so now it's like, okay, girl, you about to do this. And it's just been flowing ever since. I remember people saying, oh, don't expect to make a profit for a couple of years. And I'm going, don't tell me anything. That may work for you. I don't need you speaking nothing on my life. And so when I was making money, I was I was scared. Why am I making money? I should be making money. They told me I couldn't make money. I'm like, no. I'm going to do my thing.
Lesson.
Don't speak nothing on my life.
Lesson,
That's between
everyone.
me and God.
Lesson.
So I think that was a very defining moment for me.
Absolutely. See, I want to pull something from that. That absolutely not only is a defining moment, it's a lesson. You know, you refuse to let other individuals speak a certain path for you or a certain thing to happen in your life. You refuse to accept it. You refuse to even listen to it. That is absolutely a triumphant moment. That is absolutely that. So when you take a look back, that's professional. Give us a little glimpse into a defining moment for you as a mother or grandmother. Because sometimes grandmothers are mothers, you know, but
let's see. I don't know. I have so many defining moments. Okay, as a mother. Okay, so, you know, I remember I told you Neibra was perfect. I did everything right. I think it was that moment that I realized that although well-intended, I didn't do everything right as a mother. And it was mostly with my older child.
We're not perfect.
And so I think I went to counseling, and it was marital counseling. And during that counseling, my counselor said that I was a codependent. Never heard of the term, didn't know what it was, but while she was talking, I was trying to Google, like, look, because my concept, no offense, was that counselors throw labels on you to keep you coming in. And even though this counselor was my friend, I was like, ain't nothing wrong with me, lady. And so she threw that codependent thing out there. Mm-hmm. And in my marriage counseling. So I when she started telling me about it and I started reading it, I did my own research. And so every week when I would come in for a session, I'd already knew everything about it because that's who I am. I research everything. You're not going to tell me anything about me. I'm going to figure it out too. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that in my growth and my steps of codependency, I realized that I'd harmed my son. I mean, it had a lot of negative impacts on my marriage, right. But the damage that it had done to my son, where I thought that, you're going to go to college, you're going to do this. I bought him cars. I, told him you're going to go to college. I basically guided his life.
Okay.
And I thought that I was doing that was parenting. You got to encourage. I thought I was encouraging.
Many parents do.
Well, what I was doing was controlling.
So you saying you kept the pressure on him?
Oh, I guided him. I mean, it was like
micromanaged, basically.
Yeah, I micromanaged it.
Okay.
And I didn't see it as though I wasn't trusting him to make the right. Well, yeah, he didn't make best decisions. I didn't see it as controlling him. I saw it as guiding him. Mm-hmm. But in my learning about codependency, that's what we do. Mm-hmm. We control and we micromanage, and you got to do it my way. And if you don't do it my way, then we got something. Hold on. You see, I was the purse.
Right.
I had the money. I had the keys to this car.
Almost like a little carrot.
I had the cell phone. I had all of those gadgets, all those things that were important to him. And if you didn't do things mommy's way, then those things, it was not the normal restricting behavior. It was control, but I didn't see it.
So there was a turn. There was a defining moment. There was a turn in that.
The turn was after I finished my counseling. My counselor said, go sit down with your son. Now that you understand, go sit down and talk to him.
Wow. And
I did. And I explained to him what I learned, and I listened. And it was amazing that I never listened to him. I helped him with his homework, and if he struggled, I did it for him. I helped him, everything he was doing, and if he struggled, I did it for him. And it wasn't because I was impatient with him. I think at some point I felt like, okay, he's going to take too long, he's going to do it again. But he felt that, and he said, I stopped trying because you did everything for me.
Wow.
He said, after a while, he said, Ma, you did so much for me. Like most kids would have appreciated that, But for me, I never had to do anything, so I never tried. I just stopped trying because I felt like either it wasn't going to be good enough to satisfy mom, or why do it? She gonna finish it up, or she gonna tweak it, and she gonna change it, or whatever. So I stopped doing it. And he in this conversation, he's an adult, and he says, "So now I'm lost." He said, "I'm so programmed with what you want me to do, how you want me to do it." He said, "I don't know what to do for myself." And we had a very tumultuous relationship. There was that battle between me trying to tell him what to do and him trying to tell him, me taking the money from him and taking the car from him and stuff. But doing that after that counseling, I realized I need to let my kids live my life, their life, and I need to live my own life. I need to stop deflecting and get back to my life, which is what I've been doing for the past 5 years.
Defining moment. With that being said, if you could provide something to our listeners, we have a slogan here at Triumphant Moments. It's called Encouragement for Free. What is some encouragement that you can provide to the listeners? I'd like you to provide it specifically to the mothers who work and try to have a balanced life with their family, single or not single, single or married. What is some encouragement that you can provide for them? And for those who are just drowning out and feeling like they just can't continue on.
Okay. First thing comes to mind is stop trying to be superwoman.
Wow.
As women, as mothers, career women, wives, BFFs, we're trying to do everything, and we're trying to do it perfectly. Right. You don't want nothing to suffer. You want to be the best mom. You want to be the best cook. You want to be the best attorney, best career woman. Stop trying to be. We're putting so much pressure on ourselves to try to be what everybody else wants us to be, or how everybody else perceives us to be. You got to figure out who you are and what makes you happy. And I'm speaking to myself while I'm saying this, because it's taken me a long time to quiet the noise of what everybody else expected from me or wanted from me, and to now start living my own life. And so to my listeners, figure out what makes you happy, what you want to do, where you see your life going, where you see yourself living, what you drive, what you want to drive, what kind of car you want to have, everything about your life. And don't let anybody else have any influence on it but God. And once we do that, we'll realize that, okay, my dishes may be dirty a little bit longer than my mama say they should be dirty. Or I may done gain a little bit more pounds than my husband wanted me to gain, but I'm good. I'm okay with who I am. I'm happy. And if they don't like it, oh, well.
To all my ladies, you are beautiful. You are strong. Y'all are the backbone. We all know it. Yes. Can't ignore it. We all know it. Ms. Neibra Collins, I really wanted to thank you for coming in. I really appreciate you taking our time. Got to have you on the show again.
Gladly. I have enjoyed it. You've been a wonderful host. I was a little nervous, but I appreciate you letting me talk.
Absolutely. Is there any way, if anyone wants to utilize your services or anything of that sort, that they could either contact or any upcoming things of sort?
You can always contact me. You can just Google attorney Neibra Collins Williams, or Neibra Collins, or Neibra Williams, or Neibra Collins Williams. You'll find me. Okay. And it'll give you my address and phone number. But once COVID is out, I'm going to be doing a lot of seminars, and my office in Tallahassee. I have 4,500 square feet office that I've been utilizing for vision board parties, for workshops. And so you'll hear a lot more about me, all geared towards the same stuff that we were talking about, uplifting people and bridging the gap between men and women in communications. So just stay tuned. Awesome. Everybody, sometimes in life you must fail in order to succeed. But one thing is certain, you must never, ever, ever give up. I'm T. Wood, and this is Triumphant Moments.